The anticipation for tonight had Nicole a little bit nervous. Despite having brand new shoes, she forgot to wear them because of her excitement. How could she have forgotten them? She thought to herself. She received them as a present from her boyfriend and had been saving them to show off to her friends all week. So she drove back home to fetch the new heels she had planned on wearing. She asked herself, where did I put them before searching beneath the bed? Nicole was taken aback and couldn't believe what she was seeing when she shouted out loud, Angela. Nicole is now kneeling on the floor, her mouth agape. Her best friend is looking back at her from beneath the bed, and she can't take her eyes off of her. Neither one of them can make a sound. They seem to be too shocked. She keeps asking herself, why is Angela even here, under my bed? The elusive shoe is found by Angela from under the bed and presented to Nicole. Angela flushes deeply and stutters before she can reply, I guess this is what you were searching for. After collecting herself, Nicole demands to know why her pal is even here. For Nicole, the longer Angela remains quiet, the more terrifying the possibilities that begin to play out in her imagination are. Nicole, if you'll let me explain, but Nicole is certain that she already has a pretty good idea of what is going on. What happened then? Why was Angela hiding under the bed, hoping not to be found? And did Nicole's boyfriend have anything to do with this situation? It appeared like Steve made a conscious effort not to move things with Nicole to the next level throughout the first few years of their relationship, as if he couldn't go any farther because of an invisible barrier. However, things abruptly changed a few years ago, and they are now living together and even talking about starting a family. But what exactly happened in their relationship? A chance meeting 5 years ago brought Nicole and Steve together. They had both grown up in the same city and had been working in the same industry until Steve was offered a fantastic employment opportunity. He had a job offer in another city, and they had to take it. It was at this point that his feelings for her deepened. Nicole was struggling greatly since the move. Steve was able to keep in touch with many of his old pals, but Nicole had a hard time doing the same. Nicole was working overtime and found it difficult to spend time with her lifelong friends, and most of all, Angela, her dearest friend. Nicole and Angela were the best of friends. When Angela Smith and Nicole met at the local university, they quickly became besties. Due to their many common interests, the two women had become inseparable. Angela worried that their relationship was over after she hadn't heard from her pal in weeks. Angela scowled the last time she had seen Nicole was at their housewarming celebration. She was on the fence about sending a message when she received one. Angela could not believe it when she saw that the text was from Steve. What was Nicole's boyfriend's apparent need for her help? She had only met him a handful of times but considered him a friend due of his relationship with Nicole. On top of that, he had never sent her a text message before. Angela tensed up, worrying that something bad had happened to Nicole. Angela was elated that nothing had happened to Nicole. Angela had not been hanging out with Nicole recently, so Steve was simply making sure she was okay, simply checking in to see how she was doing, he said. But Angela began to believe that Steve was driven by something else. Steve's announcement of his plan took Angela by surprise. However, they'd need to schedule a meeting when Nicole is unavailable. How to approach this delicately was something she was wondering about. While Steve was often at the office, Nicole spent much of her time at her home office. There was no way for them to meet there. Even if Nicole were to suddenly leave, Angela still wouldn't be able to casually drop by. Angela then had a thought. In order to pull this off, she'd have to make sure Nicole wasn't there. Angela had intended for them to invite Nicole over for supper with their circle of friends. She knew Nicole had been missing her and the rest of their pals because of her difficulties in maintaining contact with them. She wouldn't be able to refuse an invitation without feeling terrible about it. The question is, however, whether or not it would really be effective. Once she told Steve about her concept, he thought it was a good one, and they got to work on it. Angela stated in their group text that it would be nice to meet everyone again after a long time and proposed that they get together. The ladies were ecstatic to start making preparations for the supper. The ladies were giddy with anticipation to see Nicole and catch up with one another, and they wasted no time in beginning to prepare the dinner party. Contrarily, Angela had already planned to miss out on the get-together by calling in ill that evening. Nicole felt worn out since she had neglected her social life in favor of her career for the last several months. She would sit at home for lengthier sessions while Steve went out to hang out with his pals. Then her group of friends texted her, and she saw it on her phone. It was a dinner invitation from her friends who were throwing a celebration in her honor. Nicole's enthusiasm led her to send a text message of thanks to her closest friend Angela for organizing the meal. Nicole felt bad she hadn't contacted her friend in a while, but it cheered her up to hear that Angela still cared about her. 2 weeks from now, on a Saturday, was when the supper was scheduled. Nicole couldn't wait to see her friends again, as the last few months had been quite trying for her, and she had a lot of things she needed to vent about. The sad truth is that she was completely in the dark about what was happening. To extend her time at the dinner, Nicole is also thinking about the possibility of staying the night in the city. She doesn't feel at ease doing this, and the only location she can think of is at her best friend Angela's residence. Nicole was shocked when Angela told her that wasn't an option. Apparently, she has her brother staying with her for the night and worries that the three of them would be too many for her modest home. To Nicole, this is an odd excuse to refuse her visit. For just one night, who cares if the home is a little tight? When did Angela and her brother start communicating well again? Nicole, confused by the situation, chooses to ignore it. It's okay if she needs to go after supper, she probably won't be around much longer anyhow. Nicole's anticipation for the meal remained high, so she went out and got a brand new outfit for the occasion. Steve saw how thrilled she was and surprised her with a brand new pair of high-quality heels. Together, the two were a stunning combination. The day had come, and Nicole hurried out the door to begin the 1.5-hour journey to their hometown. In the meanwhile, Angela waited. Angela was hiding out in her vehicle at that same time, just a few streets away from Steve and Nicole's home. She had contacted her friends last night to say she was too unwell to attend. And now, with just a few seconds left, her plan was about to go off without a hitch. Feeling very foolish, Angela recalled her recent exchange with Nicole through text. Who's her brother? Nicole was well aware that this was the longest period of time since their last encounter. She was relieved that Nicole didn't push the issue and seemed to accept the explanation. A few seconds after Nicole had left the home in her car, Steve had signaled for Angela to come inside. She got out of the vehicle, walked across the street, and gave him a bare embrace at the entrance. It had been some time. That their crazy idea had really succeeded thrilled them, and they wasted no time in getting to work. Angela is here with a large luggage. Steve is taken aback by its appearance. He anticipated that Angela would bring along some belongings, but this seemed excessive. But Angela says she'll need it if her plans come to fruition. She's so ecstatic she can hardly control herself. When the two finally catch up on each other's lives, they decide there's no time to waste and immediately get into action. Before Nicole comes back, their evening together will be over. Steve finishes up the cleanup in the basement while Angela has already gone upstairs. Angela, waiting for Steve to ascend, takes a stroll around the upper level. She enters the master bedroom after stopping. Wow, look at this shambles of a room. It's the same Nicole she's come to know and like. She breaks into a little grin, but she's also becoming scared. Her pulse is quickening and her heart is pounding. Do you think she's making the correct choice? While she was ruminating and second-guessing herself, she heard Steve call out from the basement, "Hide." Nicole is already returned. Angela freezes for a moment before she begins to fear. What was the reason for her early arrival? She had promised to be out of the house until 12. The odds of her arriving in the city at this point are astronomically small. Had she begun to suspect anything after all? Angela doesn't have much time to gather her thoughts when she hears the front door open and footsteps approaching quickly up the stairs. Under the bed is the only place she can think of to hide, so she does so fast. She really, truly hopes Nicole doesn't discover her. In what way could she possibly tell her this? The moment Angela slid under the blankets, she heard the bedroom door open and saw two bare feet come in. Angela is holding her breath because she recognizes Nicole at once. Is this it? Finally? Does this mean her flawless strategy is doomed to fail? Just a few short minutes ago, Nicole was her route to the dinner party, and she clearly had no plans to come home anytime soon. She can't wait to reunite with her old pals. Suddenly, she begins to worry that she has forgotten something and frantically dials Steve's number. She wore her brand new evening gown, but neglected to wear the heels she received from Steve. It seems that she has not replaced her outworn footwear. The driver abruptly does a U-turn, and she goes back to the house. The good news is that she can be reached in only 10 minutes. On the drive back, Nicole accelerates, and when she finally arrives home, she almost leaps from the vehicle. Through the window, she can see that Steve has seen her, but she is surprised to see that he hasn't come to the door to open it. She doesn't know what he's up to. She hurriedly unlocks the door herself after fumbling with her keys, and Steve rushes in to greet her. Almost hesitantly, he inquires as to why she returned so quickly from work. He knew she estimated it would be beyond midnight before she got back to him. While putting off the lovely heels he had purchased her, Nicole tells him that she has forgotten about them and demonstrates that she is still wearing her old sneakers. Steve offers to join her in her hunt, but Nicole has already located them, where they sleep, which is upstairs. Nicole is nearly halfway up the stairs before Steve has a chance to stop her. She has no time to waste, in her opinion. Steve remains in the basement, bewildered as to his next move. What does he do? Attempt to guide her away from Angela, or simply hope she is well hidden? There is a noise when Nicole enters the bedroom. Seeing the mounds of garments on the floor makes her feel intense remorse for a split second. There's no way she'll be able to locate her shoes in this mess. After taking a deep breath, she goes on the hunt. Although Nicole eventually locates the first heel after some digging, the second one mysteriously vanishes. Then Nicole remembers the bed is the one other spot she hasn't checked. Angela is keeping a close eye on the situation. Every second that Nicole spends tearing the place apart makes her more and more anxious. While she has managed to avoid capture so far, that may not remain the case indefinitely. Everything seems to be piling up to the point that the tension is unmanageable. Upon Nicole's entrance, Angela was alarmed, thinking she could be there to find her. Perhaps, in her attempts to explain her behavior, she had revealed too much. But as soon as she saw Nicole grab one of the heels, she knew exactly what was going on. Angela attempted to calm herself by telling herself that Nicole just needed to locate the other heel to be on her way. Her options had not been exhausted just yet. It was still possible that everything might turn out well. At that point, though, she began to notice it. While waiting, Angela began to look around and saw the heel Nicole needed. It had been tucked down under her bed. She saw Nicole getting down on one knee before she realized what was happening, and it was a scary thought. Soon after, she and her closest buddy were standing face to face, staring each other in the eyes. Although she was unable to express it verbally, Angela realized the ordeal had come to an end. And how was she going to justify this? Could anything be done to salvage the situation? Incredulous, Nicole looked over the evidence. Angela. Exactly why was her closest pal hiding out in her sock drawer? While at home, she pretended to be unwell, but how did she manage to snag her? Before anybody had even spoken, 1,000 possible outcomes had already begun playing in her mind. And there was no happy ending in any of those possibilities. Angela, flushed with anger, emerges from beneath the bed and gives Nicole the other shoe's heel. If this is what you're after, Nicole doesn't even reach out to Angela to get the lost heel, instead tossing it on the bed. Nicole attempts to calm herself down a little before she explodes at Angela, thinking she now understands what's going on. What kind of sick person would do something like that to her? Bestie, right? Angela, however, begins justifying her actions before she can unleash her wrath. I know what it looks like, but it is not what you think. I didn't come here for Steve, I came here for you. Nicole doesn't know whether to laugh or weep at this lame reason. At the same time, though, Steve enters into the room, and Nicole's attention immediately turns. Nicole becomes quite angry and begins yelling at Steve. Steve is caught aback by the accusation of infidelity. Are you cheating on me? How could you do this to me? With my closest friend, no way. There's a far better explanation for why Angela is here, they exclaim. In light of Nicole's recent expressions of longing for Angela, Steve had reached out to her a few days ago. Meanwhile, Steve was familiar enough with his girlfriend to assume that she was too shy to initiate a date with Angela. Steve had shared this information with Angels, and the two had devised a strategy to shock Nicole. When Nicole was out of the home, Angela would move into the spare bedroom. This was done so that she could hang out with her BFFF for a week. They decided to take Nicole here since they knew she would like being there while working from home, so that she could devote her whole focus to Nicole and their time together. Angela had taken a week off of work. The group of friends had been briefed about the surprise and anticipated that Angela would cancel at the last minute. If Nicole had come home from supper and discovered Angela waiting for her, the day would have ended perfectly. What Nicole needed to prove that Angela and Steve were having an affair was Angela's bag, which included clothing and all the necessities for a brief trip. Her eyes welled up with tears, but they were tears of joy. They made plans for Angela to join Nicole at the ongoing meal, while Steve set up the guest room. After a rocky week, Nicole and Angela are back to being best friends and hanging together regularly again.